All right, problem 2-71. Think about how you might sketch a parabola on a graph. Letter A. Do the sides of a parabola ever curve back and like the figure at right? Explain your reasoning. And letter B. Do the sides of a parabola approach straight vertical lines as shown in the figure at right? In other words, do parabolas have asymptotes? Give a reason for your answer. Well, as we look at letter A here, first of all, do the sides of a parabola ever curve back, like in this figure? No, they absolutely do not. And the reason why is because, if we have a parabola that's opening up or down, our domain is going to be all real numbers. Okay, but typically a parabola comes from a quadratic function, right? If we have a quadratic function, we know that for every input, there is exactly one output. So what that means is for every point or every value where we can input an x, there is only one y value that we can get out. So if we look at something that looks like this one here, if this was drawn on a coordinate plane, and I'm going to kind of sketch in, here's my x-axis, and let's say here's my y-axis there. It doesn't even matter that it's not straight. When I choose a point here and I choose a point down here, what I'm going to see here is, let's say this is the point -1 on the x-axis. I'd have this input for -1 would have two different outputs, and that's impossible. We can't have that. So do the sides of the parabola ever curve back? It'd be impossible because of the fact that we'd have inputs that would contain more than one output. So for letter A, no, the sides of a parabola will never curve back. Because that would cause some inputs to have more than one output. So that pretty much would ruin the definition of a quadratic function if it did. Letter B says, do the sides of a parabola approach straight vertical lines as shown in the figure at right? In other words, do they have asymptotes? The answer to that one would be no. The domain of a parabola is all real numbers. And actually, let's not even say parabola, let's say a quadratic, which we know makes the shape of a parabola. So the domain of a quadratic is all real numbers, because we can square any value. Let's even say input value. Because any input value can be squared. I think I changed my wording a little bit, but it'll be all right. So they won't ever approach those vertical lines there because we have to get past that vertical line because you have all these, points that would have to be out here. Our domain could not be all real numbers if we approached a vertical line. You can also state that. The domain could not be all real numbers if the parabola had vertical asymptotes. Hopefully that helps make sense there. If you have questions, please make sure you ask your teacher. This is problem 2-71. Thanks for listening.